Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever live. Let's see how this goes. So I was gonna wait a few more minutes, see if anyone else wants to join. And then also, uh, okay, so just getting my systems all in place since this is all new to me, just learning, a lot to learn. Okay, and let's see, wait just a few more minutes and then we'll go from there. So basically what I'm gonna be talking about today is about my journey with my son, my 13-year-old son, and how I kind of now looking back on where his autism journey pretty much started. And so I'm gonna like talk about that a little bit and then also talk about how he's homeschooling and when that started. And let's see. Okay, so I got a few people in here. Of course, you can always leave a comment and let me know you're here. Say hi, so I can see your comments. All right. So I'm going to start with, okay, so my son is 13 right now, and we actually just got him diagnosed through the state, I think about a month ago now. And we already knew that he was high functioning with speech delay because he took a long time to talk for a while. I mean, he didn't start talking until he was about 4 years old. And with that, I kind of took the initiative to actually, I taught him his emotions. I taught him comprehension skills. I taught him how to read, how to write, and also independence skills. I taught him, actually, he was potty trained by 3 years old, fully potty trained. And so that was actually a challenge because he was not speaking at the time, but we still were able to communicate and get that done. And let's see. And then I would say, I guess, looking back, he did actually start talking when he was around like 3 or 4 months. I know it sounds crazy, but he did. And because the way I knew he was talking is by, like, our rooms were kinda connected, like, our living room and our kitchen was kinda connected, so we can actually oversee the kitchen and living room, whatnot. And he was in a swing, and I guess if he didn't see me, he would actually call out my name and say, "Mom, mom." And I didn't realize that he was actually calling my name because I was, like, looking around, I was like, "Whoa, who's calling me?" And so, but he would actually call my name, and then when I used to give him baths, I used to do a thing with him without before I pour some, the water on his head to wash off the soap or whatnot. I was always telling him, "Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3," and then I'll pour it on his head, the water, and he would actually count with me and say, 1, 2, 3, and I was like, "Wow, okay, this kid is actually talking." And, but then also I didn't know if I was just being delirious because, of course, being a mother and everything else is, like, really tiring and, you don't know if he's actually talking or if it's just in your head or if it's, whatnot. But since he did get diagnosed through the state and we talked to the psychologist and I told her about that, and she actually told me that that's actually a first sign of autism, is they start talking at a very young age and then they stop. And so basically that's what happened with my son. He was actually talking for a little while and then he stopped. And then also he was a very active child. Like when we used to have him take him for doctor appointments or whatnot, how you always lay him on the on the little thing to get him examined. While we're waiting, I used to lay him on his back and he used to just kick around and move his arms everywhere. I mean, very, very active child. And my husband and I used to play like a game with him, like where we like move our fingers back and forth in our hands and stuff like that, and we'll have him track us. And he would always track us like back and forth. And so that was actually a really cool thing. And let's see what else. The other early signs. Of course, his speech. Yeah, that was the main thing. And also, he was very smart. He actually knew a lot about puzzles and Like, I downloaded a bunch of games for him on his, on a little, I think it was like my old YouTube or my old iPhone at the time. And I used to do that for him. And I used to download a lot of educational games like puzzles and numbers and alphabets and stuff like that. And he actually learned a lot with that. And let's see. And so his puzzles, like he used to complete them like within a few seconds, like these little puzzle games. It was amazing. I was like, wow, how'd you get that done so quickly? And let's see, like other things, he always caught on to things really quick. So that was really neat. And I kind of noticed with that kind of thing that he would, you know, that was something unusual. And let's see, so I'm just trying to think of other things, just a lot of things. And so now fast forward to now, he is communicating. He started communicating mostly around, like, I say about 5 or 6 is when he kind of like, he started saying his words, and then he started piecing his words together and saying like sentences and, explaining what he wants. And so that was a good thing. And then, but now he still has problems with his speech sometimes, to where he has a hard time with certain words and certain phrases and stuff like that. And then also he speaks really fast. And so that's the thing that we're working on, is trying to get him to lower his speech, slow it down, and he's doing pretty good with it. So like what we do is just like I always tell him, I was like, okay, there's no rush. You don't have to rush what you're trying to talk about. I was like, just take your time, think about what you're trying to say, and then go from there. And that helps a lot, to where, because he thinks that he is always rushed. Like his doctor told us that, like early on, he told us, like, of course my son is high functioning with autism with speech delay, but also it's called pressured speech. So it's the fact that he thinks that he has to hurry up and answer a question. And so that's why he kind of blurts it out. And also he had a thing where he would repeat a lot. Like if you ask him a question or something like that, he would repeat the question back to you. And so he kind of did that. I think it's called Echolalia, or something like that. I'm still trying to learn these terms. But so yeah, he has that, and we've been working on him with that. And let's see. But otherwise, he does pretty good. I mean, we still have to translate for him sometimes with certain people, because, they're like, oh, what did he just say? Because he gets so excited, and so he doesn't really, can't convey what he's trying to say all the time. But he is very social. He loves talking to people. He loves being around people. He loves going places. And so that's what we also taught him at a very young age too. Is like how to, I guess you would call it mask. He learned to mask at a very young age, because we wanted to have a life too, my family and I. So we took him everywhere we went. We took him, to the to stores. We took him to go out to eat. We took him to events. Like he loves NASCAR, which is very interesting because it's very loud, but he loves it. And he also loves going to the movies. So that's another thing that he enjoys, even though that's a very loud and dark place. And he enjoys it. He loves it. And let's see what else. And so we just keep him, we don't kind of keep him in a bubble. We actually take him and get him used to the world. And I think that's another thing that a lot of kids on the spectrum or special needs, they need to get that exposure, because, the world isn't always on a pause for them. And so they kind of need to learn how to adapt. That's how I kind of feel with my son. So that's what we did with him. And now he is actually homeschooled. So I homeschool him, and he loves it. He actually refuses to go back to in-person school, because ever since COVID hit, we got a taste of homeschooling. And so he's like, oh, this is so much easier. This is so much better. And so we kept him home, and it does actually work a lot better, because his behaviors have pretty much gone away. I mean, because when he was going to school, he had a lot of behavior issues, toward like he wouldn't sit still, to be sitting in his chair. And so the teachers said that, that's a behavioral issue. And so they didn't really work with him too much on his educational level, like with his reading, writing, and whatnot. And so so now he's at home, I mean, he's still at home where he's homeschooling, where he still has a teacher. So he's still with the school district and he still has a teacher during the day. Like right now he's actually in class. And so he still has a teacher and I just implement everything else when he gets out of school or whenever he needs help or something like that. I always come and help him. And he actually does his homeschooling on his own too. He did that. He asked me one day, I think about 2 or 3 years ago now, and he asked me, he's like, "Oh, Mom, can I do this on my own?" Because normally when you have a child, especially a child with special needs, you have to sit next to them in order to help them, with certain tasks and whatnot. And he told me, he's like, "Mom, can I do this on my own?" And I was like, "Okay, well, let's try it out." I was like, and I contacted his teacher and I told him, told the teacher what he was planning on doing and what he wanted to do. And she told me, "Hey, let's go ahead and try it and see how it goes. If anything, it doesn't work out, then we just go back to where we are. And if it does work out, then hey, we'll just go from there." And so we tried it the next day and his teacher said he did amazing. He did so much better. He was more focused, it seemed like, because he would always answer her questions, and go on to do his tasks, show his work and whatnot. And so ever since then, he's been doing it on his own. So I think that's a really great thing. And also his teachers, they always tell the other kids, "Oh, Marty's doing this on his own. He doesn't need his parent." And so they kind of use him as showing that you can be independent, even though you have special needs. And so I think that's a good example for him. And let's see, just trying to think of everything else. There's so many things to talk about. So, I mean, if you're actually thinking about homeschooling your child, I think you should give it a try, especially since, they can do it. And if worst case scenario, you have to put them back into in-person school. But I don't know. It's always a thing, won't know until you try. And I think I've pretty much said what I wanted to say, because I don't know if anyone has any questions. That's what I've been here for. And so let's see. And so that's what I'm here for. If you guys have any other questions, you can always reach out to me. And also, of course, I'm doing my podcast. And so I have guests on here on my podcast all the time, talking about all kinds of different topics, subjects, disabilities, special needs, autism, everything else. And so and also I'm always looking for guests too. So if you guys ever want to be a guest, I'm always open to hear what you have to say. And I'm always, I have my contact information, should be in my description in my YouTube channel. And so I hope to talk to you guys all again. This was great. Thank you for joining me for my first ever live. And thank you for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with others, because, I'm sure a lot of people can benefit from hearing other people's journeys with their child or any loved one or anyone that they know. All right. Thank you. Bye.